Hello, and welcome to Root It in Your Wisdom. We are doing a workshop today on parenting through the moon, so nurturing with the lunar wisdom. And I am your host, Jenny Stasic Cates. So we want to just, invite you to set an intention for how you want to grow as a parent, especially working with the moon. How is it that you want to do it? Um, do you have much knowledge? Is there an area that you want to work on, especially with your child and yourself? So, all right, well, set that intention, write it down, or just have it in your mind. And what we're going to do is maybe, uh, what phase do you happen to be in your parenting? Think about it on as because we happen to live in cycles in life. It's a natural rhythm to be going through cycles, whether they're big ones or they're small ones. If you think of the moon cycle, the moon moves 2.5 days through a sign. So it takes about 29 days to get through a cycle. So 1 month to cycle through the full entire signs with the moon. If you're a woman, you happen to have your bleed. Those are cycles as well. And we tend to look at it as an inner moon when we talk about it here in Rooted in Your Wisdom. And you go through like the new moon when you happen to be bleeding. And then there's like the follicular phase, the in-between areas. So that happens to be like the first quarter. And that's a major part. So phases going through cycles don't always have to have like even cuts. Like the moon would be going through 2.5 days. Like those are even cuts, but cycles do not have to be seasons as well. I am always looking at astrology and using Mother Earth as a way to be able to play on, understand where I'm at and then playing on that idea. Like, how do I resonate? Where are we at in this cycle? Just waking up, you start a new cycle every day, right? Like you're waking up, you're doing your routines, you're going and doing whatever you need to do, and then you're going to bed and you're waking up again. So it's a whole new cycle. So we start cycles and we end cycles every single day. Some are big, some are small, some may only take a certain amount of time, but cycles are a very um, huge part. So the moon is a really great place to be able to look at and to understand. Now, the reason why the moon happens to matter when we're parenting, well, there's the moon is about emotions, it's about nurturing, it's about intuition. So, as a parent, if I was to look at my child and I wanted to know how can they deal, and even myself, um, where are we best, to be able to understand where we are at with our emotions? How or where are we with our own moon? And then looking at our child's moon, and then the moon that is cycling. So, with the moon cycling through a sign every 2.5 days, it does definitely affect us. There's no way that it doesn't. It's, the moon affects the tides, the water, and how much are we made up of water, compared to the earth? It's pretty much like if you look scientifically, we are very comparable. So, of course, the moon is affecting us, like our emotions and how we can work with them. So, one of the great ways to look, and there's four elements in astrology. So, even if you don't know exactly what each sign is about, but I definitely encourage you to look and resonate with what works with you in that one. But Moon in Aries, you would end up having this very blast of energy, maybe very outspoken, like you're very, challenged in that way and wanting to go forward. and you happen to have a moon in Cancer, well, you may not want to hurt someone's feelings, but you definitely feel this energy surge of energy to go forward. So how would you work with that? Because you're having very conflicting messages sent through the emotions. So that is, and just having that awareness, keeping that maybe journal, like, you could always journal for the month or 2 months or 3 months, depending on how long, you want to start to be aware. Because th- once you can figure out how to work and build those tools for you and work around your own moon, then you're that much more aware and that much more evolved with your own moon and your own child's moon. So the moon is a guide for rhythm. It helps with your feelings and it'll also help with your energy level. You'll know whether or not you're going to have like this amazing day once you start to understand. I feel very agitated in a Gemini moon. I'm a moon in Libra, so the air sign just happens to just get me that much more. I'm just like, it's very chattery. It's very, because it's about the mind and how the mind works. So there's very much, for me, it's very involved. And I just feel there's a definite, agitation to my energy. I just can't, I don't love that energy. If you talk to Renee, she also struggles with Cancer. She has a moon in Scorpio, and when the moon is in Cancer, she just has a really, now I think it's getting better, but she's also got to progress, and that's a totally another topic that we will talk about later. But the progress, excuse me, the progress moon, which lasts about 2.5 years for a season. Um, and I'm actually Moon in Gemini for my season, which is another reason why it might be a little bit agitating for us. But hers, she gets very weepy because it's Cancer, right? Cancer can be very weepy. They like to be in touch with, their emotions when they're balanced in that. The moon does rule Cancer, so having that awareness on understanding and nurturing on who you are. So self-care is a huge thing. And knowing where your emotions are, having that awareness, that is self-care as well. So children happen to be deeply connected to natural cycles. And how can we help to mirror that? Being connected to our own moon. That is a big way for us to be able to go and understand that way. All right. So let's talk about the moon phases. This is a big one, and we do happen to talk about it for ourselves. And I've been starting to talk about as well how to work with your children through the different moon phases. I really talk about the new moon and the full moon because they definitely do affect us quite highly, especially since it happens to affect the tides, with Mother Earth. This is one way for us to be able to work with. So, with a new moon, you want to have that rest time. If you think about an Aries season, because it starts off a new season, a new year. So, we're just coming out of hibernation, and then it happens to be moving towards, building, it's a darker area. We're planting seeds, and we are just slowly growing, setting intentions, slowing down, reconnecting. And that's what a new moon is all about. We want to have that time for a reflection to where we want to go next. And that's one way for us to be able to work with our children is just to slow down, reconnect with them, maybe see where they, need to go. And it depends on also what sign they happen to be in. If we happen to have like a Virgo new moon, you would definitely want to be in touch with organization, routines. Where do we want to work with that? How's it going in the house for routine wise? How's it going in the school? Set those new intentions if you need to adjust or, work your magic on setting those intentions, setting those seeds and planting them and allowing them to grow. So, great time to reconnect, rest, and reflect with a new moon. With the waxing moon, so that'll be like your first quarter as well, we have this motivation. We have a new learning pattern it's because we're trying new routines. If been a Virgo moon, and now we're moving through the other signs as well. So we're creating new habits, we're creating new routines, and we're moving from there. So the cycle's continuing to move. You planted your seed and you're working on how that's going to work. You don't need to force it. You just need to allow it to go in place. When we force, we happen to hold on too tightly. And one way to be able to do, that is just to be able to have a plan and then just work off of that. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you readjust, right? With the full moon, so that's 14 days into having set your intentions and you're, slowly working on and bringing that awareness. You want to have the time to possibly let go if anything is not working. Emotions also may be heightened during a full moon. We do happen to know, if you ever hear like someone that works in a hospital or they are in, the police area or teachers or, working, yeah. So you happen to hear, oh, it's a full moon. It's because, you happen to be more aware that things are definitely generating. Like it just, our moons are at a full peak and they're highlighted from the sun that's shining fully on the full moon. So they're opposition, and that brings, a highlight to our emotions and where we are and what we've been manifesting. So for our kids, it's a great way for the connection and creativity, or expression. And if it happens to be in Pisces, that's a great way for creativity to, expand on imagination and, where we need to just, go and what needs to just be gone. We also need to remember to ground ourselves when these emotions. So how can we ground ourselves in these, like during this full moon? So when we do have your own moon and we have the full moon signs. So, what works best together? So, look at your journal. What has been working best for you or your children? And then go from there. And remember, everything can be adjusted. We evolve over time. So, things do change, they cycle, right? Like, we're not the same person we were when we were born. We are not the same person when we graduated high school. We are not. So if you look at the cycles, eh, our lives have so many cycles that we go through. You can adjust and reflect and reconnect. And that is what the full moon is about, is also about letting go. We're allowed to have that, to evolve and bring that evolve, into our emotions. But once we get there, we're going to be starting new lessons and understanding where we are in our lives. And our lives do change. So we do need to understand as we do go through it. And with our children, they happen to go through a lot of little mini cycles. And it depends on where they are. Like they could be in a toddler stage, they could be in a preschool stage, they could be in going into all of a sudden this big school and starting to learn. And then the hormones even come in, right? So there's so many little areas your children are having to deal with the emotions. So being able to understand where they're at and knowing that you can always, you know, readjust, reflect, and go, okay, so what might work? What worked before? What might work now? Still look at the moons, your moon, and the moon that is going around. Great way, by the way, I haven't mentioned. astro-seek.com has a moon phase calendar. So you can see, without having to have an app or anything, you can see where you're at for the moon, like where it is in your area, and what moon we're in. And it'll also tell you when we have a new moon and a full moon. And I believe it also tells you with um, the first quarter and the last quarter moons and stuff like that. So it's great to understand. And also, like I said before, do your research. Like, resonate only with what you see, what I may say, or Renee, or, it may not resonate with you. And that's okay because you could be in a totally different area in your life. And what we're saying maybe actually, just resonating for us. So we're telling you guys because maybe it's going to resonate with whoever at the time. So just remember, always just take what resonates with you and just go with it at that time. And remember, it's in cycles. So things do change and we do need to adjust. Um, One of the things that you can do for each phase, another one with the waning moon, because with the full moon, we want to start to let go, but we also are manifesting at the same time. Well, the waning moon is still also letting go, right? It's reflecting and we're simplifying those schedules and those cycles. Like what didn't work, where's it working? Well, we can declutter at the same time. That's a great way to do it. Um, it's some things, we may also want to put in as we're reflecting, maybe we want to, put in place a gratitude ritual. Whether we wake up in the morning and we say three things that we're grateful for. I know there's a pastor in my area that I've helped work with in the community, and her children, before they happen to go out to either school or work, they go through three things that they're grateful for. And they also go through three things that they're grateful for when they're having a bad day. Just to remind them that they still have those things that they can, be very grateful for, even if, things aren't going the way that they want to and their emotions are a little bit, too much. Another great way, emotional check-in question. Have check in with yourself first, so that you're not, reflecting. Because sometimes we're great mirrors to reflect our emotions onto our kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. But check in with yourself first, and then you can check in with your kiddos afterwards, to see where you're at. So, you're both on in touch, but you also have your own things that you're working with. Uh, let's look at moon signs and emotional parenting. So, how the sign happens to affect, the emotional tone of the day. So, if I was to look right now, we are in, let's look at the today specifically, we're in a moon in Capricorn. So, for some people, you may be feeling like, and especially since we happen to be in Aries season, you may feel the need to do some spring cleaning. Uh, you are going to be, decluttering, you're going to be organizing. Like, this is probably some of the things that you're going to want to feel. You're going to also want to feel, uh, to need to get out and ground. So go walk out in nature. Capricorn happens to be a very, even though it is an earth sign, it does happen to also be very relatable to a fire sign because they want to get things done. It is, if you look at, where it is in Mother Earth, it happens to be in the seasons of, going into winter. So they're starting to work on hibernation. You've already been working on fall where you're collecting all the things, but now you're starting to bring things and keep things, that what you're going to work on in your hibernation, your reflection, and that time period. So with Capricorn, you definitely want to, reflect and go into, do I need this? Do I need that? Clear space, clean your space. It loves a great, and when you move that energy too, and you have this clean energy, we always happen to, I don't know about you, maybe I shouldn't say that, but feel better. because you have moved the energy, you are decluttering your space, and you no longer have that energy that's been, quote unquote, I would say, dead energy now. Like it's been just sitting there. And yeah. So you now feel better. So that's a great way to work with Capricorn energy. I do know that, I yesterday was also a moon in Capricorn. I do know that Renee went out to the dog park and they got some things done and they were working with family things. So that is a great way to work with a moon in Capricorn. You're out in nature, you're working on, keeping those ties with family and getting it was a weekend, so you're getting things done, but you're also remembering yourself at the same time. You're giving that nurturing, because that's what the moon is also about, is nurturing, self-care. And it's something that we don't always know. So having that emotional awareness and knowing where we need to be. If you happen to have a moon in Cancer, and I think I mentioned this before, but you may have this clinginess or extra cuddles. So that's what you either, if you have a moon in Cancer, or maybe you happen to be, the moon happens to be in Cancer, we may feel that area. Moon in Aries, you would happen to have a burst of energy, or you may get frustrated. We do have our times where we're going to be balanced or unbalanced. So look at, how things may affect you in a balanced or unbalanced way. But yeah, so track your moon signs and track the signs in the cycles. Your moon is always going to stay the same, but you also want to know how your moon and the moon cycling reacts. And you want to look at your own and your own child's behavior, how it happens to be shifting through these signs. Okay, great ways to also look at when we're looking at the rhythms of the moon is how does it also affect things like our bedtime, our rituals that we happen to do, and rituals can be like waking up, going in and brushing your teeth right away, or, it's all that fun stuff. Like you may have an Ayurvedic schedule, or you have a little bit of, whatever it may be. You may go in and meditate. You have a shower in the morning. Maybe you have your shower at night. How does it differ each day, though? Like through each moon, you may end up feeling like you need to put your shower at the end of the day, or you may have to have a bath or whatever, depending on where you are. So things may change and you may notice your schedule as you go that, oh, yeah, I happen to need this during this moon. So I am more aware that, when I'm working with my child during the bedtime routine, we need this during this moon, especially. And to remember the phases of the moon as well, like how they may also affect your child in this time. So it's, you can kind of like, if it's a full moon, even though it may not be the same sign, you're like, okay, I can be aware that we're going to have this and we can do this. Um, all right. Some of the things that you can do is, and this would be a journal prompt for you after this workshop, which we're coming to an end right now. But what phase of the moon brings the most ease for you? Look at that. How does it, where is your child? Like, bring ease to for each phase of the moon. Which one happens to challenge you as a parent? What phase? What one challenges your child? For me, remember, Moon and Gemini, we're not very good friends some days because I don't like the feeling of that, like a cheese grater is what it feels like on my energy. Like my energy is literally just agitated. Like I don't like it. And I have to remember to do certain things with it. And, either it's listening to music or learning something new, or maybe I need to push that learning away for that day and just do nothing because it depends on what phase the moon is also at. Because maybe I need to let go of something, or maybe I just need to reflect or rest. So it's such a beautiful, intricate weave that you're able to also give yourself permissions to do things differently as a parent and as a child, and just as yourself. Okay, I would love to know, and I know Renee would love to know, you know, what how you feel like when you can start to implement this, where you're at in your own cycle. We will be, sharing this kind of stuff in um, more courses, and we'll be talking about it in circles like moon medicine sharing circle or the healing circle, or like those kind of things we are able to talk about. And definitely just comment on the YouTube link or comments below, and comment in our Facebook groups, or just send us a message even. You can also email us at hello@rootedinyourwisdom.com. We would love to hear everything and what you feel and what you may have learned in this time. So if you're to look at in getting your chart, we do have a little mini course on how to, read your chart and know what it's about. So you can head on over to our course. We also have it in our link tree, so definitely check that out. It's all in our bios if you want to find out. So, anyways, thank you all for coming, and have a great day.